guys, here we go. We are ready to launch. Probably have a few more people joining us in the next few minutes still, but that is okay. We are here and it's going to be a wonderful evening. So, got a few things in store for us tonight. I've got a few more mindset things up my sleeve I'd love to share with us just to get us in the zone, get our heads right. Michael said, shared this a few weeks ago. Trading is 80% mindset, right? 20% skill. So we can learn the skill, and we're going to be learning some of that tonight. And but that 80% mindset, I'm pretty sure we probably aren't putting in 80% of our time into developing our mindset. So I definitely want to include some of that tonight. And then we'll end up with some time on the charts. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a long one tonight, but we'll see where we go. If we've got moves happening, then by all means we're gonna flow with them, see if we can roll a dynamic edge and catch some pips together. But in the meantime, let's see what's happening here. So yeah, starting off, guys, we let me do some announcements first. So we've talked about a boot camp that we want to do. So in the back end of all of this stuff at the moment, Michael and myself, we're busy working on building out a Facebook group for the Fit Life for our entire team. And then also as our own point of invite, guys, to be able to, the bigger vision of what we're up to here is, for me, I'm obsessed with freedom and helping people step into freedom in the highest way possible. Spirit, body, soul, mind, finance, relationships, emotions, the whole thing. And so obviously with the Academy, we're learning a whole lot about the finance side and also some mindset as well. But for me, the much bigger picture in all this thing is, like I talked about last week, who are we becoming? Like when we zoom out from life, we take away the things that we're doing. Like there's this one line that this coach shared with me in America, which is quite profound. He said, God is way more concerned with who we're becoming than what we're doing. And I feel like for most of us, it's very easy, especially as men. Let me just have a look. Yep, we're all guys in here tonight. That it's so easy to focus on what we're doing and get significance and get a hit out of that. But when you strip that away, who are we? Like, what are our most significant roles in this life? As a son, as a parent, as a spouse, as a grandparent, husband, father, whatever those roles are that we play here and there, friend. Who are we growing into? Like, thinking about ourselves. 10, 20, 30 years time from now. What's the legacy of our lives? What's the story of our lives going to be? And so, thinking along those lines, it's like, what is, when you visualize yourself 20, 30 years from now, what kind of character do you want to be walking in? What kind of gifting and skill sets do you want to be, being able to give and impart to others and exemplify in this life? So thinking along those lines, that's what I shared about last week. But yeah, just want to recap that briefly and then flood more into this idea of, this thing of the fit life. And like, Michael shared about identity as well a couple of weeks ago. And I was just thinking about that a lot in the last few days, and just had this thought drop into me. Like, we often talk about, not letting our identity be ruled by our worst moments. Like, you may have heard it said, like, you're not your worst moment, you're not your worst behavior, whatever. But I had this line as well of like, sometimes it's actually potentially easy to identify with our best moments, and that might actually fuel some pride potentially. And I felt this, like, the Lord speaking to me about this humility thing of like, you know what, you're not your best moment, you're not your worst moment, you're not your past, you're not your present. You're like, who are you becoming through this journey? Less about destination, more about journey. And just zooming out and thinking about that, it's like, you're not just the sum of what you've done, good or bad. It's like underneath it all, each of us are a son and a daughter, and we're all growing maturity here and there. And we all grow at different rates and paces, right? And so, yeah, so I want to share some of that. And so inside of that, Michael and myself are busy building out a page that we're going to be able to add a lot of people to, very similar to the Free from the Rat Race page that a lot of us are in. But we felt that it would be a great idea to test out building one that is a little bit more for our neck of the woods. So something that can be a little bit potentially more culturally relevant to New Zealand, Australia, maybe even South Africa, a lot of our cultures that are represented here in our team so far, and give that a go. And we want to empower you guys as well to invite friends into that space. We want to basically create a space where people can consistently be just challenged, inspired, and educated to be able to thrive. Like, we want to be able to put as much high-level financial education as we can in there without dumping the academy in there, so to speak. Obviously, what we're doing here is the Freedom Investor team. We're the paid group. We're the guys that have grabbed the bulls by the horns, and we are learning the skill set to pursue that dream of freedom. And so in that sense, it's kind of like an onboarding place where we can invite friends and family to start thinking about that zone of freedom, because not all of us just landed here. We're all on this journey. I mean, the first time I ever saw the cash flow quadrant, I kind of just paused and froze like a deer in the headlights when I realized, wow, we all earn money very differently. What does it look like to cross over to the other side of the quadrant and start to create multiple streams of income? those conversations start somewhere. And so if you're not having them one-on-one with people here and there, we want to create this group and just occasionally, even Michael and myself, go Facebook Live in there and just start delivering as much high value content as we can to help people start thinking about their future, start being proactive and intentional about the goals they're setting and what they're aiming for, the kind of freedom, the kind of lifestyle, the kind of impact that they want to have in this world. And so we want to build out that Facebook page. And in the midst of building that out and adding some friends in there, we want to run some boot camps where we can take aspects of a night like tonight where we show the way that we're trading to some degree of detail, not overwhelming, but a space where, you know, we've done a couple one-nighters before where we show people what we're up to, but we thought, you know what, let's aim for actually doing a double night back to back. Say on Monday night, we can give a cool overview of some of the theory behind trading and what we're doing, what we're learning, how some of the markets work, as simple as candles, price action, the difference between exchange trading and leverage trading, and just kind of getting people to think more about the concepts, demystify it a whole lot, and then potentially on the Tuesday night, have everyone all set up on MT4 on their phones and ready to push some buttons with us and show them how simple it is to actually place some trades. As opposed, obviously no one's going to become an expert in 2 nights, but just to help ourselves grow, help our friends and our family start thinking about the opportunity that's at hand. Because in this for ourselves, at the same time, what I want for myself, I want for everyone. And so that's why Michael and myself and a few other guys in the team are sharing it with friends, because we believe there's an incredible opportunity here. That's why we're all here, right? So yeah, we just want to make it easier for us to invite people into a space where they can experience our community and experience what's going on. So look out for some of that stuff in the chat in the next little while. Some of the dates that we're toying with at the moment are potentially even next week, Tuesday night, doing not so much like a massive invite, but like we want to empower all you guys to invite friends. We'll do a Tuesday night, maybe next week, where it's very much an intro night to what we're up to and just start practicing again. We haven't done one for a while, so we'll do one of those. And then maybe a couple of weeks after that, 27th, 28th, and then the 4th and the 5th of July will be the one that we really want to advertise and run really, really well. So 2-night back-to-back bootcamp where, yeah, we can invite some friends in and some family and teach them how we're trading and show them what we're doing. And so, yeah, guys, diarize those dates in the back of your mind. It'll be really fun to put something on. And likewise, you know, in the past, we've had guys like Joe and Russell who'll share some of their testimonies of how they've been trading, how they've been learning, some of their wins and just the learning experience. And so we'd love to hear from more of you. So please, guys, let us know. I know guys are asking me every week for some broker advice as to where to go down that lane because they're ready to go live. So obviously, if some of you guys are ready to go live, things must be clicking. So yeah, let me know. I'd love to hear how you guys are tracking. And yeah, what you got questions, obviously reach out all the time personally here to me or in the chat. But yeah, guys, so that was a little bit about that, just some bootcamp stuff that we're planning and with this Facebook group. Really excited to build that and put it out. Then some other mindset stuff. Guys, I just want to encourage you. Like, I don't know, each of us are on completely different journeys of learning, whether it be, you know, whether we read stuff, watch stuff, listen to stuff. I just want to encourage you, be on that journey, be a lifelong learner. And so even just inside the academy, we've got so many profound leaders that are constantly putting out material. Like some of the guys, I mean, I can drop some links maybe in our chat later, but guys like Alex Morton, who's, you know, one of the most profound young entrepreneurs in the world right now. His YouTube channel is brilliant. He's got some 3 to 5 minute videos in there, which help between mindset and the sales space and all that kind of thing and young entrepreneurs. Brilliant information on his YouTube channel. Brandon Boyd, he's one of the educators in TVX, also a Chairman 100. He's got some brilliant content in there as well. And so just helpful, really healthy mindset stuff, guys, to help us think. Like his video today, it starts off with like video blog number 1000 and something. Like the guy puts out content, but little bite-sized things. I think today's one was like, what is peace? And how to live in that. And so really cool stuff. And then who else have I got? Who was I thinking about? Justin Owens, another really great leader in our platform who's got a Spotify channel and he's got some audio, which basically some real high level, motivational, encouraging, challenging words, but with some cool backing music. And so I think he's got one called Road to 7 Figures and another one called Raising the Bar. Both really, really good. It was the first time listening to him and some of his music where I heard the, you know, you've heard the give and the tithe 10%, you've heard the save 10%, but have you heard of the investing 10%? And just starting to break open that paradigm for people who have never heard that kind of thing before. So some cool content there to dive into, guys. And then let me look at time. That's enough. I'll save some stuff for next time. So yeah, just want to encourage you. Just, you know, when you're driving, when you've got time and you're not busy studying in depth, you know, use that time wisely. Like sometimes I might be listening to music, but most of the time I'm either listening to audiobooks on Audible or I've got something from YouTube or one of these guys that I'm like learning from and growing from, just constantly feeding myself, constantly thinking about who I'm becoming, what my goals are, where I'm going. And yeah, I believe we each get to pioneer that for our families. Not all of us have come from a legacy of crazy success and high achievers and etc. But we get to set the tone for the legacy that we're going to experience and nurture through our own families, through our own kids, and etc. So I want to encourage you, be intentional with your time, be intentional with your goals, and whatever you consume is going to come out. So yeah, I just want to encourage you, focus and on some high level content, things that feed you, things that inspire you, things that challenge you, and watch how much you accelerate in the space. Because like I said, Michael said again, 80% mindset, guys. So that is enough from me for now. Let's see what we got here. So Ali, cool to see you in the chat there. Les and Ali over in Australia and Melbourne joining us. They joined us yesterday, and I can see Simeon in there down in Tauranga as well. You joined us last week. Guys, so fun to have new people join the family all the time here. So yeah, guys, these are our Tuesday night Zooms where we get together, do some chats, do some mindset stuff, and also some education stuff with Dynamic Edge. So and anything else that Michael's got up his sleeve, because our local legend has 20 years of experience in this space. And so without further ado, I want to hand it over to Michael to take us through some stuff this evening, some of the things we've been doing together. We've been spending a lot of time on Dynamic Edge, just looking through different times in the day, what we're spotting, what we're learning. Last week, I showed a little bit of like some harmonic patterns that I was noticing, which is all in the 400 series. You can go through that. It's amazing, guys. The more, for you guys that are new, this might look like a whole lot of colorful spaghetti, but it really becomes more and more familiar with the more time you spend on it. And so, yeah, I want to give it over to Mike to drop some wisdom for us this evening as well, and some of what he's been seeing this week. So let me see, where are you, Ro? Let's find you there. I'm going to make you the host so that you can take over the screen if you like. Guys, drop some love in the chat for Mike. He is absolute legend, and it's always such a privilege to be able to learn from him. So take it away, bro.
Well, thanks, mate. Hey guys, good to see you all tonight. It's awesome to have people who are excited about trading and want to learn. And what I want to share with you, just can you guys see my screen up here? Yep, yeah, cool. So I was actually mentoring someone today. Had a private mentorship session, and this person has been trading for 3 years and still really struggling to win with live trading. And there's some psychological stuff going on, but one of the problems was they were going for 1-to-1 every trade, so they were risking 1 to get 1. However, the problem with that was that their win ratio was 66%, and so there was a whole bunch of losses and then a whole lot of scratches, and the wins were just 1-to-1. And so this person just couldn't decipher why they kept losing. So I said, look, one of the biggest problems is that if you have a strong trend, you're not exploiting the power of the trend. And so, on a 1 minute chart, if you're trading a 1 minute chart, you can trade up and down. There's a lot of action within a 1 minute chart. However, if you are aware of the higher time frame and the momentum of where the money's flowing, whether it's up or down, you can actually really exploit that trend, and you can get some serious runners. And what those runners do is they pay off all of your losses. And so what I'm going to show you is one of the tools that I use for knowing when one of these strong trends is going to occur. And I simply use a dynamic edge on a 3 minute chart to get into that trend. And because I know that the flow of money is down or up, I have a lot of confidence to hold a runner. So let's say enter a trade. I might take the majority of my position out at 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. And then I leave one part of that trade to run for 10-to-1, 15-to-1, 20-to-1. So what I'm going to show you is this. So we've had this consolidation on the Nasdaq for a couple of weeks now. So as you can see, price has rallied up. We've consolidated at the high, and we've produced this stall pattern. Now, this is a range. Price is only ever doing one of 3 things. It's going up, it's going down, or it's ranging, it's going sideways. So when you have this sort of pattern, it's called one part of market structure. So as you can see, that price has been respected across the lows numerous times, producing in a range. And along the top side, what we can actually just move this down a bit more. And what you can see is that this price level here, this price level here has been respected repeatedly. Okay, and yes, we have had a couple of pushes higher, but notice that every time price moves up, it's constantly making a lower high. So what you'll see is we have a high here. Let me just put this in black. We have a high. The next one is even lower. And the next one is even lower. And so what you can see is that we are slowly rolling over. Price is trying to get high every time, but it can't. Now, what happens is that when you can identify this range by these key levels, when you get a break out of this market structure, you typically get a very, very powerful move. Now, what happens is that you can see that price has come up very, very strongly up here, very, very strongly, very, very strongly, sideways, very, very strongly, and then the strength just gets weaker and weaker. And as you can see, we're making lower and lower highs. Now, what that means is that when price actually breaks through here, there's no more buyers in the market. So if there's no more buyers in the market, there's a huge vacuum and the sellers are the only people left. And typically you get a very, very explosive move down. Now, one thing that if you remember this, that will actually serve you for the rest of your life. When you get a sharp breakdown out of this sort of rectangle consolidative range, after the first pullback, you always get the best opportunity to sell, because this pullback here is basically a whole lot of people who have shorted this taking profit. And so you get a little bit of sideways consolidation, and normally you get another very, very powerful drop after. Now, the higher the time frame that this chart is on, the more weight you will actually have to getting a stronger move. So this is a 30-minute chart, as you can see on TradingView. So when price broke down here, I know we have at least one more powerful move after. Now, let's just go down to a 15-minute chart and I'll explain this. In trading, we have 3 sessions. We have the North American session, then we have the Asian session, and then we have the London session or the European session. And so every trading session follows one after the other repeatedly. Now, this move over here, I want you to just understand the psychology behind it. This big move out of this box happened in Asia. It happened in New Zealand trading. So actually, Ty and I watched this breakdown the other day. So this is in New Zealand time. So remember, when New Zealand is awake, trading in the morning, the European market is closed. They're sleeping. So what happens is that a whole lot of people will start to take profit, and you'll get a bit of a rise, but mostly it's a sideways consolidation. And so what happens is that when the European market wakes up, you will get traders who'll come to their desk. They'll open their laptop and they'll go, "Oh my goodness, price has absolutely collapsed. Quick, close all our long positions. Close all our long positions on the Nasdaq," because they know that there's a lot of weakness in the market. And then you always get a massive move down. So what I did was I wanted to look for a setup on dynamic edge to go short at that consolidation. And because I know we have at least one more move, we're probably going to get a really powerful move. So sure enough, I jumped on at the London Open, okay, because the London Open is a great time where a lot of people are trading, and you always want to be trading, if possible, from the top range, because that's where you get asymmetric reward to risk. So sure enough, we got an amazing setup. Now I haven't, this is TradingView, so I haven't got all of the dynamic edge set up. However, I do have the divergence here. This is the same histogram we use on dynamic edge, and we have divergence on the 3-minute chart. So there's my 3-minute entry, and we got a signal there, and we had a great trade. Now, what's really good to remember is that when we get a significant impulsive move down, like this very, very strong move, After the consolidation, 90% of the time, price will come back to test that first low where price bounced from. So my first take profit was close down to that low, which is about 5 to 1. Now, because I know that we're going to get a big move down, I plan to hold a longer position because I'm waiting for this second push. However, what happened was I ended up watching a movie with my wife, and I closed out my entire position at about 5 to 1, 5.5 to 1. So I'm risking 2% to make 10%. So it's a great trade, brilliant trade. You know, you're done for a couple of days. What happened is if I had just paid more attention, normally I would have my stop just above the high. What happened is that London went sideways for a little bit. And then when the New York market opened, bang, we pushed all the way down. Now, over the next day, if I had held my position to the close of the next North American session, I would have made 43 to 1. I'm risking 2% to make 86%. So that's crazy. I mean, even if you risk 1%, you're making 43, you're making half your account. So unfortunately, I closed out my entire position. I wasn't focusing. I should have been more attentive. But what was really cool was then we also had another trade the next night. Sorry, remember last time we shared on Tuesday night, I talked about the opportunities in New Zealand time. In the morning, so trading from 5:30 to 7:30, there's often some incredible setups. And so sure enough, we had, was it the setup here? Here's our setup. We have divergence on the histogram. Now, just note that the full scan is not in here, but this is the same histogram that's used on Dynamic Edge. So there's divergence on the MACD. You can also see that the MACD line itself is diverging, higher highs in price. Here's our entry just in this region here. After price crosses below the midline, sure enough, stop above the high. And we gap down on the next day. And at the end of that closing day, to the low point, if you had held to the low point, it was 11 to 1 with my risk on that trade. So I shared with this person I was mentoring today, look, when you have a very, very strong trend and the trend is running, take the opportunity to exploit the power of that trend. Now, one thing that Dynamic Edge has, which is really good, is it has multiple moving averages, which you can use. And when you have moving averages on your chart, if you get a push down in price, here, this is exactly the same chart. Notice how price, if it's a strong move, price will always trade sideways into the moving averages and then drop. Sideways into the moving averages and drop, into the moving averages and drop, into the moving averages and drop. So on Dynamic Edge with the pink and purple line, when we see price move into them and we get a divergence, it's a strong probability that the trend, the momentum of the trend is strongly down. So only take short trades. So that's something I want to leave with you because, you know, these don't happen all the time. Sure, we had some inflation data in there, which helped it. But if you can understand the higher time frame, you can get some serious runners. Now, the same thing happened the other week. Now, again, we had a consolidation in here. See how price is volatile? It's just going sideways. But notice how it creates this market structure. Look at all these tops here. And draw a trend line across there. And that signifies the point of breakout. Sure enough, the moment price breaks through that downward trend line, we get an explosion of price. And what happened is price actually came back into this region here. And on the 3-minute setup, we had an incredible Dynamic Edge entry. And sure enough, because we know we're going to get one more push, look, there's our first push out of the pattern. Bang. Then we have our sideways consolidation, and then we have our next push higher. And so that one there was also a great trade. Entry somewhere in there, stop below the low, and up to the high. If you're just holding to the end of the day, you're making 18 to 1, almost 18 to 1. So when you can just zoom out a little bit, instead of just focusing on the 1 and 3 minute chart, make sure you're looking up a time frame to the 13 minute, the 30 minute. If you're in a strong trending market, let's say you're strongly trending up, if you take a long position with dynamic edge, I would encourage you, try and hold a little bit for a bit longer, because what happens is you have this huge flow of money coming into the market and it pushes your trade in that direction. And I said to this person this afternoon, I said, look, have you ever tried walking up a river with water up to your waist? You can do it, but it's pretty hard. It's better just to roll over on your back and let the river float you down, because the tide or the flow of the momentum of that river is down. Why fight it? So that's when you can get significant gains in your account. Now, I'm just going to share one more thing. These were trades that Ty and I took this morning from Dynamic Edge. Again, I don't have the scanner here, but I do have the histogram. So we were looking at the market around here, and we noticed that we had divergence on the histogram, and we ended up getting a dog flip. We ended up getting a break above the mid-BB line. And sure enough, we had an awesome trade on the 3 minute. And I'm still long on this trade. So I'm currently up on my execution platform. I'm currently up about 90 pips on that to where we are now. At the height earlier in the day, I was up. That was my risk is a bit tighter. Almost 6 to 1 on that trade. But what's amazing is that if we go up a time frame and look for divergence, we can see that the market began to turn around. So look, here's divergence on the hourly time frame, and sure enough, price starts to turn around, which signifies the end of the trend. So if we have just had a strong downtrend and the market turns around, a lot of these people who have been shorting the market are going to start exiting their positions, which means the market's going to turn up. So what I did for the rest of the day was I was looking for 3 minute setups to the long side and holding them. And sure enough, we got 2 amazing ones. Here's our first one here, low in price. Here's our momentum high indicator. I'll just remove that. And that. Here's our second one. Sorry, that was a 3 minute chart. So we had a divergence on a 1 minute chart in there. And then we had a short, which I took just before this call from the high. So we're riding the flow of money up, and then price comes into, see this rejection area over here? That's where price was strongly rejected from. And so often if we come up into a place like that, that's called a V reversal. So price shoots straight up and shoots straight back down. It means there's a lot of supply in that area. So a lot of people are wanting to sell from that zone. So often when we come up into an area like that, especially the top, we tend to get a reversal. So when price came up into that, it's called a supply zone. Notice what we see on the 3 minute MACD. Momentum on the MACD line, momentum on the histogram. Sure enough, we ended up getting a dog flip. We broke below the middle line and we trade down. It went down for about almost 5 to 1. But so those are a couple of trades we had today. So I want to encourage you, look, it's possible to buy the bottom of the market. My entry is right there. It's still open. It's exact bottom of the stock market. So when you go up a time frame and look to see if there's divergence on the 30 minute or 1 hour, and if you get a lower time frame entry in the context of that higher time frame divergence, you get to hold it for a long time. So what we've actually got on the chart now, you can see that when the New York market opened on the 13th, you can see this gap in price up here. Now, when you have a gap in price, that means when the market opens, there's no buyers. And so the market, instead of opening up here, it actually opens up all the way down here. And what's very, very common in the markets is that gaps are often filled in the next few days, which means that once price comes down, it'll often come back up and fill that entire gap, because this is basically a big space of absolutely nothing. There's no orders there. So it's possible that price moves all the way up from there. And so I'm going to hold my long position and see if we can get up there. But I want to encourage you, if you can see a strong trend on higher timeframes, and if your lower time frame entry is in the context of the same direction, hold it for longer and exploit the trend. Every so often, not always, but every so often, you'll get a 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 to 1, which will offset all your losses. And again, I want to encourage you, it is possible to buy the bottom of the market. Ty was with me on this today. We bought the exact bottom after this divergence. And because of that, we've got confidence to hold it for longer. And hopefully we're going to come up and fill that gap. So Ty, I'll leave it there, and I'll hand the charting over to you.
Nice one, man. Thank you. So good. Let me you throw the host back at me, and then I'll do some screen sharing. Let's see, where am I here? Let's see if I got it back. Let's do that one. Hang on. Okay, I'll zoom out the way. Zoom's over there. But I feel like that might be a weird one. I want to make sure I capture the whole screen rather than that Google Chrome. That's what we want. Then it's gonna fill up the whole thing. Okay, you guys see, I'm pretty sure you can probably see that. I've got a green line around what I'm looking at. So guys, this is dynamic edge, which some of you may have never seen before, but most of you probably have. So as it stands right now, yeah, we're commenting on this morning and what's going on there. I haven't really been paying too much attention to what's been going on live right now. Let's just have a little look. I was just following with Michael back from this morning. So yeah, we're still just, yeah, from, what happened here? 4 o'clock this afternoon, explosive move up into this pretty thick pivot line you can see here. So basically, James, for those of you who've been on James's Go Live sessions, the scanner on itself doesn't have any of these horizontal lines. These horizontal lines are called pivot lines, which is basically what the entire dynamic edge strategy is built on top of. You can see at the top of the screen here, it says pivots. So pivots is one of all the, you got harmonics down the sides here, vibrato, gold cup, levels, pivots, steady, DeLorean, bounce back. Like all these are different opportunity, different strategies, each with a handful of educators. And so pivots is the one that we've all landed on. Sorry, dynamic edge, which is built on top of pivots. And so we just come in here and add some. So if you're loading this for the first time, I mean, I've got a few walkthrough videos on how to get you, but yeah, over here, this little icon next to the American flag, this changes the strategy on top of pivot. So strategy 1, 2. So when you load it for the first time, it's probably going to look like something like this. Strategy 1. Sorry, it might take a moment to load, but yeah, that's the standard pivot strategy, and there's a few educators that specialize in that. But for us, we come in here, click dynamic edge, and that is a strategy that James Leon has put together for us, who has been trading for 17 years and educating for 10, and he is a genius. So really, really cool strategy, incredible risk reward setups. And then, yeah, so we're going, of all the things you can look at Forex pairs and choose whatever Forex pair. You can look at gold, you can look at oils. But under the I for indices, we've got right here what we like the US 30. I'm pretty sure that's like the S&P, or maybe that's the US 500. Anyway, I get those mixed up. But anyway, US Tech 100 is the NAS 100 or the Nasdaq, which is basically a basket of the top 100 tech stocks in America. So that's an indice. Over time, they generally trend up, but we're in obviously a few months of a pullback since November. But it makes for incredible trading because it goes up and down a whole lot every day, especially around market opens like New York and London. And so with that, we get to, catch some pretty good moves. So looking at this right now, I'm just seeing what's going on here. So we got Divergence playing out with a little bit of a move up. I'm only looking at the 1 minute at the moment. I like to, I mean, I'm not going to go to the daily right now, but I like to, when I sit down, start from the absolute top and work my way down, just getting context for what's going on. I mean, you can see November, where are we? Yeah, I mean, this is, if I do go to a daily, guys, just to give you guys context, we've been, so here's COVID, 25th of March, 2020. This is the COVID dip you're going to see on every single chart you look at, Bitcoin, whatever, everything had a crazy dip. And from that low that we had there around the 19th, 20th of March of 6,800-ish, price ran. And almost every chart looks similar to this. So price ran from March 2020 all the way up. And then in November, we started to get a serious pullback. I think we had a high up here, 22nd of November, a little bit of messing around. Yeah, a little bit of messing around, and then we start to drop off. So all this means, guys, if, a D means daily. So every single candle that is printing here represents a day in time. And it's full 24 hours for one of these candles to print. And so this is our trend. From November, we've been coming down. We had a little bit of a spike up here back in March up to there, and other things and so. But if I go down, I like to just get a grasp of, okay, look, on a daily, what do we have on a daily? We've got a dot flip, we've got a drop below the black, which is our mid BB. So on a high time frame, guys, we're in selling territory. We've got a sell signal as well. We're in sell hopper mode because of it. Like basically the blue line on top of the orange one, the blue one moves faster, but when that blue one comes down through zero, this being, you can look on the side of the chart here, zero, you can actually add a horizontal line there if you wanted to, but basically when the blue line crosses zero, that's called a hopper. And when that happens at the same time as a signal, really, really powerful move. So we've got that happening on a daily time frame, which is pretty big. The bands, so this little teal area behind here, the Bollinger Bands, they contract when price is going sideways, and they expand violently when price is going either up or down. And so you can see not too much contraction in this area, like a little bit here. You can see the bands came in a little bit, but then over here, they started to go out. And so they're pointing out on the top and they're pointing down on the bottom. It means a whole lot of stuff's going on, basically. So going down to a 4 hour just means every single candle is taking 4 hours to print. Zoom out again and see the same type of trend. We've got this spike up that happened here, the 26th of May. And since then, price ran from 11,800 up to as high as 12.9. So to give you context, guys, on pips and what we're talking about, and from there, May 26th up to, just over there, 1,008 pips in a week, less than a week. From the 26th to the 4th of May, you're looking at 1,000 pips right there potentially. So, I mean, comes across, bit of range, drops down. So right now we've got these 4 hour bars, and we've been dropping since the 9th of June. And again, we've obviously dropped a whole lot. Price was, so that signal went off on the 4 hour. We then had the dot flip when that candle there came down. So these black dots, guys, I mean, for those of you that haven't been on James's Go Lives, it's just look, I'm not going to get into the details of it's called a PSAR, parabolic stop and reverse. That is one of our indicators to start paying attention or to get out of the trade. And so if you were looking for buys over here, like this buy signal was going, it really wasn't going anywhere. And these dots are going this way. But as soon as you get a dot flip, so as soon as price comes down and basically this green candle touched what was a dot over there, which made the dot flip. And we've got a sell signal at the same time. Price is now on the south side of that black mid BB, which means we're in full sell territory. And then price dropped like crazy. And especially when that dot is on the outside of those green lines or on the line, that makes it an extra sweet move. Like, it didn't really happen much over here, but yeah, there's going to be all sorts of reasons inside the steps in the process as to why. But for instance, we've been in quite a massive sell territory for a while, but since, you can see here, 13th of June, yesterday, price has started to now, it's still going down, but you can see on the histogram here that, we've gone from solid red coming down to opaque and slowly coming up. and we've slowly started to turn up over here. And that was basically, you know, in the wee hours of this morning, we started to turn, and that was the bottom. So you're going to see this pattern. Now, the 4-hour candles, I'm going to change this now to 1 hour. It's going to get a bit more noisy. Same pattern, just a whole lot more information, right? You can see that pause that Michael was talking about. And oh, sorry, there's that drop we were actually referencing, I think is over here. But yeah, that was the drop there from the 10th to the 13th. Yeah, right there, that drop. It looks way less significant, right, when you zoom out, but it's pretty massive. And so we've got a dot flip into buy territory that happened at 7 a.m. on a 1 hour chart. We've had price turn around, cross the middle of the road, buy signal, and just coming down for a retest. And yeah, as to what happens next, we've got lower highs over higher highs. So we're coming back down a little bit. But most of you know this, but obviously the most important thing for us guys in this strategy and almost any trading or portfolio management is going to be divergence. So let me load that up a bit bigger so you can see it. Most of you guys know this. This is the thing that you are going to learn and is going to change your life. And as you apply it more and more and more and look for it more and more and more, you're going to see it all over the show. So most of you know this, but I want to give you a recap because this is everything. Divergence, for instance, this basically means the top letters on the top, the bottom letters are on the bottom on the MACD. And so this is what divergence, oh, where'd it go? I want to keep that. So lower lows, well, yeah, there we go. Okay, so this one, I'm trying to see of an example, but basically, well, what we're looking at right here is lower highs and higher highs. So that is over here. We've got a hidden divergence, which is LH. So we've got lower highs, which basically means by this signal here, that high is lower than this high. So that right there being lower than there is lower highs. And then on the bottom, we've got higher highs happening on the MACD. So all that basically means is, guys, from there down to there, that high is lower than that one. And on the bottom, you know, these ones are higher, meaning we're probably going to have a move down. And sure enough, at that point there, price starts to turn, goes opaque, and we start to turn over a little bit. So that's, you know, just a little bit of divergence right there. We're still on a 1 hour, which is pretty big for what we're doing, but it gives us an idea of trend. We've been screaming down, but starting to turn around. And so you can zoom in more into a 15-minute, see a little bit more of that. So there was our, you know, scream down. At the same time, started to turn around about, what are we looking at? 10:45. Am I on the right time zone down here? No, I'm not. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, 7:45 this morning. We were watching this. I'll point out something else that's fun that we saw this morning. And then, yeah, so right now we've come out of this bottom and we've just been working our way up. At the same time, what looks like coming towards a possible sell hopper as well. If we break lower here, we could be dropping another 100 pips potentially just to come and retest some lows maybe. But yeah, how low? I don't know. Looks like we've turned around, but let's see. So zooming in a little bit more, 5 minute, guys, to give you context of where we're at right now. I mean, we've already got a bit of a sell happening and a little bit of a pattern potentially playing out. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So right now, stuck between these two EMAs. I love it. James talks about the pink being like Barney the dinosaur and purple being Barney's big friend. So the purple is slower than the pink, and they're just exponential moving averages, which, well, I'm pretty sure they're exponential, but they're moving averages. And so basically they're the average, and I don't know the values of these ones exactly, but they're the average of the last, say one of these is a 200. If this is a 200 moving average, it's the average of the last 200 candles on whatever time frame you're looking at. So right now, we're just bouncing on top of what is quite a strong resistance, this purple one, but it's looking like it wants to break through. But we've got, yeah, it's just having a look. Let's see, just checking here. I mean, you can see the, you know, MACD started to turn up, having a go at coming back up there, but we're still below the middle of the road. So we're in complete sell territory on the 5. Let's have a look at the 3 minute, see where we're up to. Also below with a sell signal, trying to come up. Just trying to see what I can see. Yeah, like, I mean, even here, guys, it's really obvious. Like, we've got a whole lot of lower highs. What do we have down here? Some fairly significant higher highs. So this is a trick. As soon as you're looking at a chart And when you're in a trade, James will always say A, B, C, D, always be checking divergence. So say you took the sell and you're writing it down, or whatever you're doing here, you're going to be always looking for, okay, where should I be exiting? Okay, surely enough, you should be exiting somewhere in here with this dot flip or crossing yellow. But if you were wanting to hold longer and you're seeing something come against you, and one thing I like to do is I go get a horizontal ray, which is this tool over here, and I look at the previous high on the MACD, which is over here, and therefore I know that price is coming down already. And so this high, these highs, whatever highs get printed here are already lower than that. So we've got lower highs. But as soon as green over here comes higher and finishes printing higher than these, we've got lower highs and higher highs, which equal a move down. And so then if price is screaming up towards a buy, for instance, you've got a buy signal right here, would never take that buy signal, because a buy signal is triggered by the rules, which is, I mean, there's a few things. The candle has to close on the other side of the mid BB, the black, and I believe one of the EMAs has to cross the other one, which is when I believe yellow, you can see when yellow crosses red, so this red one or orange one that runs down here, when I believe it turns green when red gets across it. And there's another factor, I believe, when one of these EMAs crosses the other, that gives the signal. There's two confirmations that actually give us a signal. But if this signal went off, we're coming over here, riding up. Why am I not going to take that signal? We've got what's called bearish divergence, which basically means price is very likely going to go south any second now. As soon as this printed, that there we had bearish divergence. So if we've got bearish divergence and we're running towards the mid BB or a strong line of resistance, like a key pivot level or something, then what's basically going to happen is you can expect rejection of a line. So dynamic edge, the three things that we're looking for are, the steps in the process: divergence, which is what we're talking about, rejection of a line, and then a signal. And so what if you've got a signal and you're spotting divergence against you and you're spotting a potential rejection of a line? Guys, this can be a re-entry. So instead of taking this buy, we've already got, it makes it a bit thicker. You've already got this, and let's make it red. That's bearish divergence, means bearish down, bullish up. So basically we've got lower highs, we've got high highs happening here. That right there already was going to be a very good reason, A, not to take the buy. But if you took this sell and you wrote it down and you got out as soon as the dot flipped, you got out there, and this, the big trend is still maybe down. You're like, we're coming towards the mid BB or coming towards something that's going to be resistance. If you've got that divergence for a move down, but price is coming up, you can expect price to reject off these lines, which means don't take the buy, wait for the sell. And so we broke above. Oh, I'm surprised. Most of the time, when there's already divergence, it'll bump into one of these EMAs and reject. Odds are on a different time frame it did. But then sure enough, price came up, didn't really go anywhere, and slammed back down and kept going. And so that's just someone that got, like, obviously always looking for divergence, and just another little hack to just check, okay, well, as at now we've got bearish divergence. And so it's just something to look ahead and see, how is this going to play out? How far can I take this? What's going to happen for things to go bearish or bullish? And you can, just a cool way to observe it. So that's the 3 minute. We like to play on the 1 and the 3. So right now, looks like we're just in a little bit of chop and range right here. But going back to where we were this morning, going back here, like we said, we had this drop. Where's that massive drop? Sorry, that's last night. Well, no, sorry, we had the big drop was higher up here. Sorry, the 1 minute is a bit messy for it, but it was up. Where am I? Sorry, it's so high. It's hard to find it on the 1. So let's just go back to the 5. Just want to find some context for where we are. 2nd of June, not that far back. Here we go. So the drop. Where am I? Sorry, guys, too far back. Dates 7th. No, not there. No. Why am I not seeing it? Still on the 9th. Okay, bear with me, guys. We're getting there. Pretty sure it was somewhere there. Where's the drop? There's the drop. Okay, so we had the huge drop off that Mike was referencing. We came down, we got this huge gap. It doesn't look like much right now, but it really is quite something. So if you measure that gap, I think he mentioned it as well, that was 18, 100 and say 100 pip gap, which is pretty massive. And so we can expect price to come up and fill that. So where were we this morning? We were somewhere around, okay, so market open for New York, around about 1 in the morning, got all this craziness happening around here. But then we showed up somewhere around 5. Let me drop down to the right time frame. You guys all right? Let me see who's got a few guys still here. So let's have a look. Sorry, this chart's really tricky to. There we go. That's been the move up from today. And you guys trying to find myself. There we go. Okay, so this morning we were watching over 3 a.m. coming across 5 a.m. There it is. That's all I want to show you guys. So this morning I need to load. So I'm just going to load these settings that I have because I've added the pivots and saved it. So what you can do is, guys, if you add, so let me do this. It should load as soon as I squeeze. Come on, pivots. They should load. There we go. They're loaded. So you can add the pivot lines, which is an extra, by going indicators, typing in PIV. PIV like that, hitting pivot standard. When that comes up, I've already got it. And then you sometimes got to zoom out to see it. Then when you right click on them to get these settings, and I can walk you guys through this, it's going to be traditional, but we want Camarillas. I know this is all tricky and complicated. Normally it's auto. We want daily. It'll be some other number like 20. We want it on 2. And then James likes to edit them and make, like, one of them thick and blue and teal and whatever, just because those are more significant lines. But this is all for a reason. So once you've got these lines on your charts, guys, and I can break it down for you slower, or you can rewatch this recording. But this morning we were, like I said, back here. Let's get this right. It was looking like, why? Sorry, it's not giving me the pivots from yesterday. That's what I want to see, because now we're in a. Oh, I want 2 days. Sorry. Let's check this out. Inputs. Why have you gone back to there? I want you daily 2. Sorry, guys. Bear with. Let's see where we are. I want the ones from earlier this morning. It's not letting me. I've probably got to adjust one of those things. That is annoying. Sorry, guys. I want to show you this pattern that I saw playing out when we were watching this morning, which did exactly what we thought it was going to do. So there's a line right here. Basically, it was yesterday's pivot level, somewhere here. And this is going to look a little more obvious. Remember last week I pointed out a harmonic pattern, and this is in the 400 series. And so I saw this W forming. I basically saw this drop, this rise up a little bit, lower drop, and we were sitting around here. This morning we saw this buy and this buy, and then I saw, well, hang on, what's likely, what's our trend like, and where we're going to go. And so, guys, this is a little bit more advanced. You don't have to do this on dynamic edge, but it just, when you start to get familiar with seeing W's and M's and things like that, it just helps you think one step ahead. And so from a high point, you can go down to a low point, come back up to a high, back down to the low. So you've got X, A, B, C, and then D. Like I was over here, we're taking this buy, price is coming up. So now price is above B, and I'm thinking, okay, where is this going to turn around? Normally when C is lower than A, you can expect D to be lower than X. And so anywhere in the vicinity of, lower, and that's, I believe, a cipher pattern. There's butterfly patterns and bat patterns and all sorts of craziness, but a cipher looked like this. So it's a little less common, but basically I drew this out. And we had a pivot line sitting right over here that was fairly significant. And so we took this buy, watched price coming, and then I had a very strong feeling that we were going to get rejection of a line, and we had divergence as well. I'm pretty sure if I zoom out and look at the right thing. But yeah, lower highs. I need to zoom in a little bit to check it. But anyway, that just another idea of, and this might look like, what the heck is that drawing if you've never seen one before? Science. But it's just really cool stuff that when you start to recognize those W's and M's, you might be in the middle of a buy. Divergence is going to be the first thing you spot. But when you can see divergence and a pattern and a big line, you've got like 3 factors there to either lock in profit, lift your stop loss up, etc. rather than wait for the dot flip, which, you know, you would have lost a few pips there if you waited. But as soon as we got up to that line and kissed it, that was a great reason to exit. So yeah, then we had that low around about 7, and I think, yeah, we signed off somewhere around there this morning. And then we've got prices been moving today. So yeah, just want to highlight that pattern again, guys. We've all got access to the 400 series and the Forex. There we go. There's a buy happening, bands expanding, dots not outside, gotten stuck on purple, looking like it wants to go, but yeah, those bands are expanding really nicely. There we go. So look at the angle, guys. Can you see how much that angle is, the external Bollinger Bands are going? Really, really strong. That tells me their price wants to break through, like this purple line. Of course, we get a red candle right then. But I suppose it's also indicative of volatility and not necessarily that it's going to continue in that direction. But just means there's a lot happening right there. And yeah, happy. One of our team members did an amazing job of breaking down Bollinger Bands for us the other day. Let me just check what's happening here. Who's still here? Cool to see you all here this evening, guys. That's right, I'm watching the chat. So by all means, if you do have anything and I'm not paying attention to it, there we go. Sorry, guys, I haven't been watching. What's the difference between solid, red, and the opaque? Good question, Jeff. So on the histogram, I'm going to explain to you the MACD, and I'm sure Michael could do a way better job of this, but this is how I understand it, and that works. So what we have a blue EMA and an orange EMA. And if you'll track with me and you're going to see this. So for instance, as soon as, let's go for here. So when blue is, you can see that, watch the distance between blue and orange. As the distance gets wider, the histogram comes lower, and it's still red. It's basically just red because blue is below orange. Watch what happens when blue crosses. When blue crosses orange, we get a little bit of green, crosses back down, we get some red, crosses back up, we get green, but the distance, it comes closer to orange, so it goes opaque, and then it goes further away from orange and it goes solid green again. And that distance gets wider and wider, and so we're still solid. It comes back down. Basically, when it starts getting closer to orange again, it goes opaque, and yeah, etc. So basically, the histogram is just a visual representation of the distance between those two moving averages. And like, let me just check my notes, because I'm like, the dynamic edge MACD is not a standard one that you're going to find in TradingView. It's this strategy. Dynamic edge has been engineered specifically by James Leone and 17 years worth of trading. So from memory, I can't remember what a standard is. I think it's a 9 and a 21 or something like that. Anyway, the values of these EMAs, they're basically different to standard, but all it means is, say it's a, I don't know, 13 or a 5 or whatever it is, the blue is faster than purple. If blue is faster than orange, that's all you're going to know. And so blue is going to turn around and move and weave in and out of orange. And so when the distance gets closer together, or when it gets wider, it gets more solid. And when that starts coming back together, it goes opaque. And so that's basically how the MACD works. What we're looking for is when, let me just think of anything else to talk about with this. In spotting divergence, we basically are just seeing not just the relationship between blue and orange, we're seeing also where it is in relation to 0. So on some of my charts, I've done this. I've taken a horizontal line and I've jammed it on 0. And what you can do with that is you can edit it. You can go settings. I can actually go to the coordinates, and I should be able to go 0, 0. It's it doesn't want me to do it. A little bit funny. They don't like us to edit their actual indicators that are in here. So you can do this in TradingView, and obviously you're not going to set alerts inside of this indicator. Basically, what you can do is, you could, for argument's sake, adjust this, and it just gives you an idea where 0 is. But when, for instance, you could have on TradingView an alert. So when the EMA crosses 0, you get a ping. And that's basically indicative of a good move. So basically right now, guys, we've got a sell signal and a hopper. So James calls it a hopper when the blue crosses through 0, and then we go into sell mode. So when the EMAs are below 0, we're in sell mode. When they're above 0 over here, we're in buy mode. So that's why, I'm not going to get too much into detail of it, but that's how the MACD works. You just got these two EMAs that are weaving inside each other and printing these histograms. And so you can spot divergence by, there's a few different ways to spot it. And the most simple way with James's strategy is looking at the histogram. You can see here that this is giving us the solid blue line with a D on it. That's divergence there, it's picking it up. So it's picking up from that point higher. That's actually quite confusing because it's going from there saying, I don't know why it's going from that point, but it's saying lower lows, higher lows, divergent for a move up. But so you can look at where the lines are in relation to each other, like points and points. You can also obviously look at it in relation to like lows on the candles. Always the candle's always the same up here, but then you're looking at it in relation to, okay, low, low, low. Is price coming up slightly? You can exaggerate this. You can drag this to just fully see what's higher and lower. So sure enough, you know, their prices come up a little bit because you can see there the section's higher. So prices come down. This has actually come up, which starting to reverse. All it means, guys, is the MACD is a representation of energy. So price is falling, but the energy is actually coming closer to buy mode. And so all price is screaming up, like here, great example, price is screaming up, it's going up, 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 up. But what's happening down below beneath the surface? Energy is coming what? Energy is coming down on the histogram. And it's easier to see it on the bars that print than on the distance between these two. Some professionals, I know Michael as well, he doesn't need the histogram, but it's just another way to see an extra layer of divergence. So you could have double divergence play out where you're spotting it on the lines that are there plus the histogram. Don't want to overcomplicate it for some of you guys tonight, but there we've got to move down, dot outside, sell signal. But now we've got, we've still got, let's see, lower lows, higher lows. So as long as, if this price goes lower than there, which it looks like it has already, there we go, it's lower. So price here is lower than there. And on the histogram, you can see that price there, energy is higher than there. And if it starts to turn opaque and turn, that's an indication that price is about to reverse. And so playing this out like this, if we had, it's very subtle, but we've got a lower low, and on the MACD, we've got a higher low between there and there. So you see that right there, if that prints, see, look at that. I mean, so, and that candle shape too is kind of doji-ish, which basically just means reversal candle. So price is coming down, likely to go the other way. Like it might not, it can still, just because you got divergence there already, doesn't mean it has to instantly happen. We need that to actually finish printing in 26 seconds opaque. And if it finishes printing opaque and we're still above this line, horizontally speaking, we could then have a move up. The trend looks quite strong, so price could continue to go lower, but you can expect a reversal as long as this stays higher than there. So yeah, guys, divergence, it really, I know some people can struggle for a little while to really start seeing it. The more you're on James's Go Live sessions, 3 times a week he's live. Obviously you work through his favorite videos and all of that, but he does this every single time on his sessions. He's constantly helping guys spot it, and you just get better and better at spotting it. And when you start to see, okay, what happened here? We've got a lower high, we've got a higher high, and you just start to see it over and over and over again. That high is lower than that one, and there's a little high there. I mean, the indicator's printing it between here and here. You can see that, but then the most obvious thing to me is little green and massive green. And sure enough as well, even from that point, we were divergent for a move down, but price kept coming up. And then it was just, you can see just dropping off. And then from that point there, this starts to turn lower, and then price keeps trying to come higher. That there, huge, and especially that candle shape, huge moment for boom, drop off. Anyway, a little bit on divergence for you guys. It really does become easier to the point that you never have to look at that picture again. You're just going to have those 4 different options. It's basically, for those who are new, divergence and convergence. Convergence means you've got the same story on the top and the bottom. Convergence means price is going up and the energy is going up. Divergence just means price is going up and the energy is coming down, or vice versa, price is coming down and the energy is coming up. So just think convergence is the same thing. Divergence is the opposite. And when you get the opposite happening, you get a reversal in price. So hope that helps, Jeff. Sorry, that was probably a long answer for the opaque less buy sell momentum. Thanks, Drew. You pretty much answered his question. Ali, thanks for the evening. Just got sweet. Cool. Thanks for having been with us. I don't know if you actually left already. That's totally fine. But yeah, guys, a little bit on divergence right there. Having a look at what's going on. Sure enough, what did we say? That move up. So we'll see. We're still following the yellow brick road, but came up for a test of red. Bands are still, it looks like it still wants to maybe come down a bit lower. Might come to this target. We'll see. Looks like, yeah, can't really see too much going on there. But right now, that's that. And yeah, guys, getting closer to 9. So I just wanted to break down a few of those things. If you are on the scanner and you want me to break down the pivot stuff and how to load those, I actually have, just let me know, guys. If you want info, I've got it. Like, I've been on a lot of Go Lives with James, and I've got all sorts of little hacks. Let me just move all my stuff out the way here. Sorry, because I've got screenshots of, like, for instance, how to load those pivots. So I can share these images with you because I've done them. But like there, that's when you load pivots. You want to make it Camarillas, daily, number of pivots back to. I've got the, sorry, let's do this. I've got there, those are his color, sorry. Like, those are the prescribed colors that James talks about for just making that stand out a bit more. Basically editing this to, he gets rid of the center pivot, which is P, and then he makes, you know, this one, that one, you know, teal and blue and a bit thicker and whatever. That's basically just to get it looking like how James has it on his Go Lives. So yeah, it just, you kind of pay attention to the big lines. It's just where price loves to bounce, or if there's enough momentum break through. But it's a pretty big factor. I mean, look at this, guys. You look back here. What happened? Price explodes at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Where does it stop? Bang on it. It's crazy how price respects levels. So that was the R4. So resistance. Sorry, R3 resistance 3, and then the R4 is higher up. Have we got? I don't think we got that high. No, we haven't got that high. So yeah. Hope that is giving you guys some value tonight. Just going in depth. I'm definitely not James, and I'm just, you know, maybe a month or two ahead of most of you guys here. So yeah, just be encouraged that it just takes some time on the charts, some time on Go Live, and before you know it, you're just spotting it over and over again. So yeah, it looks like price is still coming down. That band on the top, you see that starting to curl in, still pointing down here, but we're starting to curl in. Basically, the bands are starting to come together. If this was still screaming wide, I would be expecting price to scream towards that target, but it's closing in, which tells me it might not even get to the target. Let's break it down. Again, on dynamic edge, if you take a short position from the left here and you put it on the candle, so when the signal pops off from that candle, if you entered when the signal started printing, you're going to put the stop loss on the dot above it, the PSR dot above it. And then with the strategy, we're looking for 1 to 2. So it's lately seems to be printing slightly more, but we're never, anything above 2 is a good win. So based on, you know, the distance between signal and the dot flip, yeah, we could expect potentially price to come down anywhere around there. So 1 to 2, guys. Anything beyond that's a bonus. And yeah, price is definitely, yeah, we've definitely got some divergence happening at the moment, curling up already. And then, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Obviously, overall trend here still down, but yeah, well, there you go. A little bit more. Wants to do it. We'll see. But yeah, guys. Cool. What did I miss? Yeah. Thanks for the explanation, Ty. Total pleasure, Jeff. Drew, pivots info on the Tech Tools video. Brilliant. Thanks, Drew. You're right. They're in there. Yeah, be sweet. Good to have you, Ro. And good to have all of you guys. Dad, as well. Stoked. Always an absolute pleasure to hang out with you guys here. And fire away if you have questions at any point, either here in the chat or with me. And let me know if. So, guys, we've got options, right? So the guy, obviously for our time zone here in New Zealand, it's a little bit ridiculous to trade the New York Open at like 1 and 2 in the morning. But if you want to, look, I got up for a month at 3 a.m. and joined the Canadians when it was daylight saving. And the guys that have been running with the academy for 2.5 years, they run a Zoom every trading morning at New York Open. at our what's now 1, 2 in the morning. There's about 40 guys on there, but about 3 or 4 of them that are, well, probably 5 of them that are really, really good. And they talk the whole time and talk through the signals, steps in the process. And so, guys, we've got access to that. That's actually part of our team. And so those guys, Chris and Steve that run that call, I'm good friends with them. If any of you guys want to at any point jump on that Zoom, there's a couple of things we can do. So to get on that Zoom, you have to have definitely finished the 100 and 200. And I would definitely say the 300 series as well. Just the videos in the academy, because it's not a question answers zone as much, like definitely not, basic questions. That's what Go Live's for. But on those Zooms, yeah, you're welcome to get on those. And I can also add you to a Dynamic Edge messenger chat if you're keen, which James Leone is in, plus all the guys that have got the strategy. Basically, you've done all your homework, you've done the videos, and you're trading, and then you can be in that chat, and then you could also have access to that Zoom that those guys do. And yeah, there's no cost there at all. That's just part of our team. That's the beauty of doing this in community. And yeah, to be on those Zooms, they do require once a month that you email like a little screenshot of your membership being active, because obviously that's what we're doing here. But yeah, if you guys want 1 in the morning, it's a little bit easier to stay up for till 1 or 2 in the morning than it is to get up at 3. I can definitely attest to that. So if you want to jump on that Zoom anytime, let me know. If you want to get added to that Dynamic Edge chat, let me know. James Leone is in there, and he sometimes will randomly comment like little things that he's spotting, and just to help the team. So there's that. And then yeah, some of us are every now and then trading at night. London Open around about 8 o'clock. What was happening at 8? You can see a little bit of chop around here. Guess a lot of stuff starts to happen usually around 7 onwards, but 8 is when the market opens, and you normally get a little bit of crazy, like a speed bump. So sure enough, you can see just a little bit of price figuring itself out, stopping people out. And then, it's continuing with the trend by the looks of it. Moves around. I think Michael said something about 3 shift bars, like 3 15-minute candles. And then things normally like to continue. So let's see if that played out. From 8, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, maybe even less. And then the trend continued, basically. So we'll see where that goes. Very weird that I've got 2 targets, and I don't know what's going on my scan. I've probably got to reload it. But yeah, guys, what else was I going to say? Yes, some of us obviously are trading at night, and I know Mark in Australia was running a Zoom for us weeknights. He's just busy visiting some business partners here in New Zealand at the moment and doing some work, so he's not running Zooms, I believe, this week, and I'm not sure when he's going to start again and when he's back in Aussie. But guys, what Michael and myself have been noticing is that the mornings as well, like if you can get up at 5:30 and spend an hour on here before you got to go get into your day, there's plenty of moves happening in the morning. So yeah, just options, guys. Like if you grab that 2% before breakfast, it really takes the pressure off. And it's pretty easy to come back at the night and have another look, check at lunchtime. I sometimes see massive moves. I just open the scanner sometimes at lunchtime, have a look, and like, oh, what do you know? There we go. But what we realize is that our 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, let me go and show you exactly what it is when I change the time zone. It's basically New York lunchtime, after lunch. And so you see these huge drops like that pattern I showed you earlier that played out. So 2 in the morning, so New York Open is like here, right? Look, so like New York is crazy. Look at what happens here. 1:30, actually it might have been 1:30. Let's change the time zone. So if I go down here and adjust this to New York, yep, 9:30 in the morning. Yep, anywhere. I'm not sure if it's 9 or 9:30, but that looks like market open to me. So prices went aggressive, up, down, up, down. What the heck is it doing? And then sure enough, we get the drop off. But then what happens later? So you get, momentum, prices running, and then, they go for lunch somewhere in here, 11, 12, sorry, there we go. So we've been getting up, yeah, somewhere around here was our 5 a.m. I believe that there is 5 a.m. for us. And so you get all these moves, and then they have lunch. After lunch, things still move. And you can see, there's a move up, there's all these moves down. And so a whole nother opportunity. New York lunchtime, who would have thought? So another opportunity to trade for our morning. So you can get on early and catch moves. It doesn't have to be bang on market open. Same thing with London. London sessions obviously started at our 8 p.m. Odds are, when that overlaps, because London's still live when New York Open kicks in. So that's why as well, you get so much extra volatility at the New York Open. But, that's going to be in a few hours time, right? So 4 hours time from now, going to see craziness all over again. But yeah, just wanted to empower you guys with that. Like, take a look at the scanner whenever you can and just see what's happening. But there are definitely, Michael went and back tested it for weeks, maybe in a couple of months, to just check like what's possible with the NAS in the mornings. So yeah, guys, there we go. Target hit on that one with a wick, and not sure how low it'll come. Maybe it'll come down to this pivot line. Who knows? There you go. Push through it. It's already divergent for a move up though. Over there, these little coils, curls. It's looking like it wants to turn around there. So we'll see. Trade with caution if you're still in a sell, if you are trading right now. Otherwise, when in doubt, just mess around on demo. Remember, range is danger. Range of danger. If price is going sideways, you stay out. When in doubt, stay out. It's just, you don't trade range. You're just going to get whipped. You're going to enter, you're going to get stopped, you're going to enter, you're going to get stopped. And look for the steps in the process. Dot on the outside, the signal, the 3-minute time frame confirming it. Obviously, divergence beforehand. Guys, when you spot divergence, you might have like 12 minutes, like 12 boring candles painting before price actually goes in that direction. That was our morning. We waited a very long time for that move to actually go. While we were watching, it was like watching paint dry. But once you spot that you've got that divergence, sure enough, price can still come further, even though the energy is coming the other way. But you're looking for it, and then you're looking for the steps in the process. You're looking for price to come up, cross the mid BB, close on the other side, get a signal, potentially with a hopper. And if you really just want to play it safe, only take trades that are signals and hoppers at the same time. You want to go back test that. There's one right there. Buy signal in hopper mode. Bam. Sell that obviously whipped around a little bit. What time zone am I on? Let's get back on the time that we're on. Let's see here. Yeah, so let's see, where's our sell hopper? Down there. Price came up, but sure enough, we're still just sitting there. Price broke lower, boom. Over there, buy candle, hopper, boom. And I can guarantee every major move is going to be a hopper. That one there, hopper mode, even a little bit early. There we go. Yeah, we're in a little fake out with that. But man, in hopper mode, that especially retesting the mid BB and then boom, huge moves. Anyway, signals plus hoppers, always a great way to trade a little bit extra safe. So all those steps in the process, guys. Where am I? Loading this. This is what you can also memorize as well. And it doesn't take long. Like divergence, rejection of a line and a signal, and then just working through the strength of that signal. So 1 to 6, how strong is the signal? What's the state of, how happy is the signal? We've got the trigger. Is the MACD in hopper mode? Is price above or below the mid BB? Is the PSAR outside? Are the bands expanding? And the high time frames? And just don't forget the high time frames. And because when you see a signal pop off, guys, everything inside of you is going to say, I want to push the button. But it really just pays to have patience. Like right now, we're diverging for a move up. Like you can see this. We've got, I don't know how long this is going to take, but we've got lower lows that are happening. Might even come down all the way to there. And we've got these, the histogram is pointing up, but we're still like, we're coming down, but we're coming closer and closer together. So what we're going to start to see is the blue is going to cross orange at some point here and start to make its way up and eventually potentially come into a hopper. But yeah, it won't take much for that divergence for a move down to happen because of how low that green is. When price starts to actually come up and approach a signal, odds are that it's going to start printing green bars higher than that. And so you're going to have bearish divergence and a potential buy signal for a move down. Like that's just what it's looking like to me at the moment, guys, which would follow this trend. And if we're looking at waves, that being the high from now, you could say Elliott wave stuff is playing out. 1, 2, yeah, I need to change time frames, but there we go. Look at that, going for the pivot line, pretty much there. Bang. What was that one? What line is that? The R1. Let's see what happens after that. To put in, come back down to these lows here. So it's come back down to below this explosive move, taking out any stops that people had for that move. And I don't know if it's going to come lower, but we'll see. Got divergence for a move up. I don't think it's going to be a significant move up right now, but yeah, we'll find out probably in hindsight, New York Open, what's going to happen there. That's lower there. Yeah, so we've got these lower lows. We've got That's lower. It's got a lot of work to do before it comes into a legitimate buy for us. So nice 40 pip move. Awesome, Carl. Hope you were, yeah, good grabbing right there. Yeah, if you were talking about this one, man, just to the target probably was, and it's obviously gone a little bit further, but from candle to there, yeah. Sorry, I went a little, I did not hit high enough. If you got it on the entry on that candle in the mid BB, you probably were 40 pips, bro. 37 could obviously held a bit longer, but that candle went through the target. So yeah, 40 pips. Yep, to the target. Nice one, man. And yeah, and again, hitting that target, you know, we do not have to be greedy, but you know, you can, you know, stops could follow, would have possibly. And here's a huge point, guys. Whatever these prices are on the side, be aware that your broker, your demo account, your whatever, if it's not Arbitrade, if you look up here at the top here, Arbitrade US, that's the feed where this is coming from. This price action is coming from Arbitrade. I think Oanda is another option on here, but most of us probably don't have accounts with Arbitrade and Oanda. So our prices, like this morning, were like $30 different. And so for us, when we know what our stops are going to be, like you could quite quickly see, and you just also have eventually just get used to, you know, what your standard stop is. But from here, your stop was probably going to be what? Like, sorry, I need to be measuring it rather with this. So if you can see like you've got the dot flip candle, so that stop there, 17 pips. So we're looking for double. That's the rule of thumb with the strategy. So whatever that is, 34, I think, yeah, 34 pips. So we're looking for 34 and we actually got 40. So, but as soon as you get that 34, you don't have to be greedy. You can just move your stop loss. But bear in mind that your prices could be radically different to this. But as long as your stop is the same distance away from your entry, you should be fine. That's basically the rule of thumb. It's still the same price action. It just might be represented in slightly different numbers from broker to broker. And it's, yeah, with different spreads. So here we go. There's our bullish divergence playing out. We've turned, we've got green, got a dot on the outside, but watch, like we've got by the time we get to the mid BB, this is probably going to be higher than that. And it might break above it, but odds are it's probably going to reject it. So if I do a horizontal ray from there-ish, see we're higher now, already bearish divergence. If this closes and comes at this, check the 3 minute out, see what's happening there. I don't know why there's so many target lines and invalidation lines here. I need to reset my chart. I just don't want to lose everything I've got here. So lower lows, higher lows, massive dive. Yeah, so even bigger. It's even more obvious on the higher time frame. So there's lows, there's lows, there's those lows, there's those higher lows, since that's now opaque. So, and you can see on there as well. So like that, I call that double divergence. You've got the histogram showing you divergence, and you've got the EMAs printing higher like that. So just a whole nother layer of confidence. You look at the 3 minute, you're like, oh yeah, we're diverging for a move up. So what does that look like? We're going to watch this come and close above yellow, probably on the 3. Let's have a look. So less obvious for like bearish divergence here. If we come up and we're so far away from the mid BB on the 3, but obviously it's going to show up on the 1 first, then the 3, then the 5, depending on previous extreme price action. But yeah, 5 minutes also bullish on the histogram, at least. Not so much on there, but starting to turn around. Yeah, if he can, that'll be a nice reversal candle. If he prints like a little bit of a squeezed doji right there, we'll see. We've already worked the pivot, so we'll see. Have a look, because bands are still expanding nicely on the 5. 15 minutes. Don't always have to go this high, but I like to get context to it. Just, yeah. Love to see what's up with the high time frames. Yeah. Whew. There. Sorry, just having a little browse, seeing what's up. 15 minute. Also, like massive. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. So even here on the 15 minute, you've got some lows that are higher, and you've got some lows that are lower. So even right now, if we start to turn opaque, like there, if that closes, like, yeah, in 10 minutes, we'll see reverse. So we have divergence on the 1 minute, on the 3, I'm pretty sure the 5, and on the 15. Like, so we should be good for a move up from here. But how high? Don't know. That's the thing. When you see divergence, guys, it just means that you're going to see a reversal. It doesn't tell you how far it's going to go. But the higher the time frame, obviously the stronger the divergence, the potential for the bigger move. So yeah, you could say on the 15 minute that we've had I would look at this, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, something like that. And then A, B, C. So that could be our ABC retracement. Come down level with the top of whatever that top was there, and now could, yeah, maybe have another run up, another run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, or it could just turn into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and come lower. So that is very much in sell mode down there. But back to the one. Hope you guys are getting something out of all this. Otherwise, I can shut up and you guys can tune into James more. He'll be live at 5 a.m. tomorrow, guys. So yeah, James is live 5 a.m. Wednesdays and Fridays, and Thursday nights at 9. Let's go and double check over here what's going on. No on DCX right now. I want to get into FRX. So let's get rid of that. Go down. Oh, sorry. That's weird. There we go. Going to FRX. When that loads. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got James down here. 5 a.m. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Thursday, 5 a.m. Friday. And yeah, and Simeon, if you haven't seen his content yet, you may have already by now, but obviously all the recorded sessions are here from recent ones that we've missed. And then favorites, this is where we're going to learn his actual strategy broken down. So the bootcamp, 27 minutes long. I recommend, guys, watch that first and then go and watch all the Academy Forex videos and then come back and go through, ignore the first 2 walkthroughs. There might be something great in there. I don't remember there much being great in there. That was early days. Then divergence lesson, brilliant. Masterclass indicators, you can talk about all the EMAs and the balance score chart. That's how we count that 1 to 6 step in the process. The extra tech tools, he gets into the Camarillas and multiple timeframes, a whole other one. So that's where you can go and learn the strategy, guys. What's that? 5 and a bit hours, 6 hours worth there. And then just get on his live sessions. That is the secret to this space. So let's go here. So there, we've had that little move play up. Sure enough, did we, on the 1 minute, did that actually give us some bearish divergence? Yeah, equal, which I believe is also regarded as. So we had lower highs, almost higher highs, but level would be, I believe, the same. And then pushing back down, closing below red. Still, just always pay attention to where candles open and close, guys. So sure enough, where you might get a wick, remember, like pushing your fingers through a fence, but then they close below. And so, yeah, we pushed up, close below, close below, close below. And now you see we're starting to put in, we'll see, to start to turn around here. MACD is starting to point up a little bit, nothing amazing. And we've potentially got a higher low. So wants to try and get up there, but like think about things like the mid BB and the pink and purple EMAs. Think about the angle, like think what direction they're pointing in. Like things need to really quite turn around for things to significantly shift. Like even here, it's like when you think about price coming down, sure enough, we've got above, came still not quite there yet. Still this still has to turn this train around, and then eventually, boom, we rocketed out. But like after the signal. Yeah. Right. Let's see. Looking like, well, if I push auto, how extreme is that slant? No, that's not going to work for me. Too much. Yeah, rejecting off red still. So the thing is, as soon as we get a green that prints on this histogram higher than that red line, we've just got confirmed bearish divergence. So if that even does break above and give us a buy signal, there's a strong reason right there not to take it, basically. And if you watch this play out, yeah, I'm not sure how low this wants to come, but my goodness. if it wants to get down to the S1, that'll be quite something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we'll see. Don't know. Cool. Well, guys, that's is that, hey, Michael, is that you in Australia? There you go. Just checking. I'm not sure if you just joined us now, but yeah, good day, good evening, man. Great to have you with us. Yes, freezing in Sydney. Sorry, bro. Gosh. It's not too bad in Auckland, but yeah, it's probably a bit chillier in Taupo where some of the guys are. But yeah, man, if you missed the beginning, I'm gonna edit this. I've got a call actually in 20 minutes with someone in India connecting me with someone in Uganda. So it's got a bit of something in front of me in 20 minutes, but I'm going to chop this up, edit it, and get it on YouTube for those that missed it. So, and for some of the other guys around the planet. So stoked to have you guys with us this evening. That's probably ample for us tonight. But yeah, guys, just get on, go live. Like really, that is, I remember one of the educators at a convention said once, you want to know the secret to learning this stuff? All he did was in front of everyone just logged into Go Live, like just being present, asking questions. James answers like almost every single question in the Go Live chat, and he's hilarious and he's brutally honest and it's fun. If you're coachable and you show up, don't be afraid to be like, so I took this signal. Can you help me understand why it didn't work? And he'll break it down for you. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, hope you guys all have a brilliant rest of your week. Let me know if you want any links to anything we shared earlier. Otherwise, yeah, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out this evening. And we will see you all in the chat.